Hey everyone, SuperShadix Boom here, and I'm going to be taking a look at Wave 6 of Jakks Pacific Sonic the Hedgehog 4-inch line. Gee whiz, I didn't know the circus was in town. No, these aren't bootlegs, they're officially licensed products. Man, what an odd bunch we have here. I wonder how in the hell they came to these design decisions. Heyo Reggie, my main man, my home slice, how you doing? Just kidding, I don't care. So we need some variants to pad out Wave 6 of our 4-inch line within about the next 5 minutes or you're fired. Alright, so up to it, bye, love you, good night. Perfect! Starting with what I'm calling Booger Tails, the painting and sculpting on this figure, despite its interesting color scheme, all the details actually came out really well for some reason. He's casted in this booger green color, and the sculpt itself is based off of Wave 4 Tails, which is a fairly solid design. What's really baffling to me is how well the paint was applied. The color separation on the shoes and face came out really well. These lines on the cuffs of his shoes and gloves are super clean too. The only paint mishap on mine is right here on the chest fluff where the mold wasn't painted all the way. The biggest QC issue I have is less so with the paint and more so with the assembly. My right knee can't move at all, and if I try to move it, it just pops off. It's all because for some reason there's just a bunch of excess plastic all up in the joint. The articulation here is our usual affair. Swivel at the head, pegged hinge in the shoulders, which lets us go all the way around, move up and down, in and out along with the swivel. Wrists are on a ball joint, hips can swivel, move forward and backwards as well, and ball jointed ankles. Exclusive to Tails here is, well, his tails, which can swivel. Asshole. Another tradition being kept here is his accessory. Tails typically comes with an item, most of the time. This one being a ring capsule. It's pretty much the same as previous iterations, besides the picture inside, of course. Moving on to Rudolph Knuckles, the painting and sculpting on this figure is pretty solid. His Lego shoes and big goofy hands came out really well. His mouth is pretty sloppy though. It looks like he was kissed by someone who had an ass-crack ton of lipstick on. It was probably 2.5-inch Knuckles. Knuckles is probably the least offensive clown version here. He's just a slightly more pinkish salmon color, which isn't too bad, but the yellow skin is real odd and the stupid Rudolph nose sticks out a lot. The accessory he comes with is the checkpoint, and it's nice. I like the blue top, and the star in the middle is stunning. There's a hinge in the middle, but it's actually spring loaded, so it snaps back into place. For anyone interested how it is next to the Nendroid checkpoint, Jakks is taller, but I think the Nendroid's is better overall since it doesn't have exposed screws on the back that they could have easily covered up with another decal. Last variant we got here is Harry Potter Obama, I mean Clown Sonic, and the painting and sculpting on this figure, well, it's just as good as the others. A variant of Wave 2 Sonic is a cool choice, but mine unfortunately has very floppy legs. This guy is all kinds of weird. I think the shade of blue they use is actually quite nice, but then he has yellow skin and a frickin' pink nose. Oh, and the shoes are salmon color too. But my god, the pink nose. Clown Sonic here also comes with a yellow Chaos Emerald. It looks fine. The translucent material is always a neat spectacle. Alright, get these dumbass clowns out of here. It's time to finally take a look at Jakks Pacific's Amy. Okay, so I could do a generic break her open with a hammer gag, but I already did that, so instead I'm gonna slice her open with a CD. So here's Amy out of the packaging, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't really care about Amy that much. I don't dislike her per se, it's just Amy. Mainly just this version of Amy I'm not much of a fan of. Classic Amy is adorable, same with Dreamcast Amy, but anything after Heroes, she's okay I guess. But all you Amy fans can rejoice, because the painting and sculpting on this figure is freaking phenomenal. The paint apps are mostly clean, pretty minimal slop, and excellent transitions between the colors. Only L is her collar. Now at first I didn't really mind this since I forgot she had a collar in the first place, but the fact that her collar is already sculpted onto the body, it's just unpainted, is pretty whack, not gonna lie. The rest of the sculpt though is still great and painted accordingly, like the stripe on her big old boots and her bracelets. Her face is pretty good. The eyelashes are a little scuffed on the left and could have used a second coat. At least the actual eyes themselves are spot on, and the depth in her smile is great. It can come off as a bit creepy and doll-like, but I think it matches up with a lot of Amy's renders, so I think it's a decent addition. But a closed smile would have helped with a more neutral look in my opinion. Amy's scale here is kind of a controversial topic. To the tippity top of her ears, she stands at a perfect 4 inches, but when paired next to Sonic, she's just a bit too tall. It's not a massive difference. Her hands are just barely above Sonic, same with her ears, but her height is very much noticeable. Poor Metal Sonic doesn't stand a chance. Amy should be taller than Tails, but shorter than Sonic. Here she is next to Resour's Amy, and oh man, if she was this height, it would have been perfect. It's truly a shame that we don't have proper scale scaling. I don't mind it too much since she isn't exactly massive, and with a bit of perspective manipulation, she's definitely serviceable. Okay, so here's the part where I took a look under her skirt. If you prefer not to see that, skip to here or use the timestamp in the description. Taking a look under the dress here, there's a mold for a diaper looking thing, or I guess it's supposed to be her underwear. The initial promo image had a real bad angle, making it look more like a diaper, but it's a lot more discreet in person. The undies are painted in a simple white color with some pink for the tail, but the most interesting thing here besides this damn paint mishap is the engineering for Amy's hips, which still offers the same range of movement. I don't think it's a necessity for every release, but it works well with this figure's design. Since the hinge is spread outwards, it's easier to make adjustments for balance while still keeping the legs straight. Her giant boots also act as pretty good support. The joints all around are super nice and tight. She's just a blast to handle and pose. For accessories, she comes with none other than her Pico Pico hammer. The head of it is pretty lightweight and doesn't drag her down at all. It's kinda lacking in detail, but it's painted and sculpted pretty good all around. My only issue with it is its size. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, but it is a letdown. Come on man, this doesn't look like a giant sledgehammer. It looks more like an inflatable Chuck E. Cheese prize or something you play whack-a-mole with. I don't get why it's so small. The head is hollow, so I doubt it would be too heavy if it was bigger. It was probably just to save on plastic.
Hey everyone, real-time SuperShadix Boom here. I don't want to do another voiceover for this. I realized it while I was partway finished through filming. Amy's hand here, you can see there's a lot of like brown crap in her hand. It's also on the resource Amy because I did a pose with her. All kinds of nasty gunk in there, and that is because the hammer. That is because the hammer. It's painted. This actually isn't paint. It's casted in these colors here, but the handle is painted. If you look here, the handle is very chewed up and nasty, and that is because it is painted with very cheap brown paint, and it is prone to rubbing and scraping all up in there. If you leave it there for long periods of time, it probably will get stuck to the hand. So while you're swapping the hammer in and out, I'd highly recommend cleaning the joint. Not cleaning the joint, but cleaning the hand out. If it's really stuck on there, like freaking fused to the paint, what you could do is you could use like an alcohol wipe, not an alcohol wipe, a disinfectant wipe. You could use an alcohol wipe, but alcohol might tear some of the paint off of the hand, so I'd rather use a disinfectant wipe. And you can either wrap it around your Q-tip or just the stick of the hammer and just stick it back into the hand and just get everything out. Yeah, this is very bad QC here because I'm kind of screwed here because I think it's actually stuck to the hand. I didn't realize this right away. At least with Resource Amy here, it was pretty recent, so I can actually just scrape this all off. Probably use the Q-tip too. So yeah, be careful with that. Yeah, it came out pretty well. Be careful with the hammer. The paint can rub off, maybe even fuse to the hand. So yeah, or you can just leave it in her hand for all eternity and not really worry about it, but just know that is something that can occur. Jakks, future reissues, I'd recommend using better paint for this thing. And back to the video.
So that was wave 6 of the 4-inch line, and oh man, this one was a doozy. Just what the hell is the story leading up to these variants creations? They look like bootlegs, but they're not. I know Sonic Colors just came out, but y'all didn't have to take it literally. The colors don't feel so right. They're just the epitome of lazy. Perhaps I was a bit too harsh on Laughing Sonic. Despite how wacky he is, he at least had some new sculpting and solid build quality. These guys are atrocious. Rudolph Knuckles is fairly solid. Booger Tails is awful solely because of his leg. Messing with him was just pure unfun. Clown Sonic, I kinda enjoyed playing with him, but his loose legs made me depressed. Now these are a waste of a release. I'm into variants, they're always neat pickups. They could have made them transparent, black and white, or something interesting, but all they did was find some bootlegs at a swap meet and ran with it. The only purpose for these is to make fun of them or maybe use them as custom fodder. I don't get why they didn't just go with regular re-releases if this was all they can come up with. Imagine how great it would be for newcomers joining in on Wave 6, giving them access to Team Sonic and Amy right off the bat. It would have been a perfect starting off point. At least Amy is a great figure. Aside from her tiny hammer, she was a lot more fun than I expected. Her big boots and unique hips made posing and balancing a blast, and she looks great all around. But I don't think she can carry this wave on her own. The variants are just that bad. It would have been hilarious if the figures were well built and fun to play with despite how they look, but they don't. Also, I'm not an Amy fan, so I obviously don't appreciate her as much as others do. For y'all who do like her, it is a solid wave. You're not forced to buy the other figures. For some reason, people think the variants are this bad on purpose to sabotage Amy's sales. I'm sorry, but I don't get why they would go through the effort and money to develop new molds and produce a figure for the purpose of sabotaging it and ensuring that it doesn't make a profit. Wouldn't people be more inclined to get Amy since the other figures are so bad and Amy is the only normal one here? Also, Jakks' World of Nintendo line had consistent female figure releases and even variants since Wave 2. Not to mention they have a dedicated Disney princess line. It's whatever really. Who knows why it took us 6 waves to get Amy, but she's here, she's great, and the future is looking better for this line. Now give me Blaze, dang nabbit. So that was my review of Jakks' 6th wave of their 4-inch Sonic the Hedgehog line, and what are your thoughts on these figures? I'd love to know. Bye, thanks for watching.